Can you raise your hand, please? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Just introduce you guys. Can you say your name for the record, please?
Casey Hopper.
Can you spell your name for recorder?
C-A-S-E-Y. Last name is C-O-C-H-R-A-N.
And Ms. Cochran, how are you employed?
I'm currently a pediatric nurse practitioner at Pediatric Convenient Care.
Okay, good. How long have you been a nurse practitioner?
A year and a half.
Okay. And before that, were you in the medical field?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I was a RN, previously at Primary Pediatrics for 9 years.
For 9 years, okay. Were you working there November 17th of 2020?
Yes.
And what was your role at that time for Primary Pediatrics?
A nurse.
Okay. And so do you remember specifically the date that I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Did something happen that day? Was that the norm?
Absolutely.
And what happened?
I was called from the front desk that somebody up front needed help. And so I went up front, but I guess I had passed the gentleman that had Karter, and so I met him in the back hallway and came upon a gentleman holding Karter who was lifeless, and we put him in room 4 and laid him on the table.
Okay, when you say lifeless, what do you mean?
He was limp, eyes were rolled in the back of his head, mouth was open, not breathing, pale.
So you said you put him on the table in room 4? Okay, what happened?
Then I asked the gentleman what his name was, and he said Karter. And so I tried to stimulate him and said Karter, Karter, trying to wake him up. And he wasn't responding. And so then I checked for pulses and did not feel a pulse.
Okay, what happened? Well, let me ask you this. Did you know who the man that brought Karter in was?
I did not.
At some point, did you figure out who he was? Okay. So when you didn't feel a pulse on Karter, what happened?
I then lifted his shirt up just to check for air movement, but I didn't see anything. At about that time, a nurse practitioner walked in and was checking after me, and we started CPR.
Okay. And who all was in the room?
Initially, it was just me, and then Amy Wood, the nurse practitioner, came in and started chest compressions.
Okay. Was it just you two, or were there kind of a bunch of people following?
They were coming in as Amy walked in, but initially it was just me with Karter and the gentleman.
Okay. And so I think you said, is it Dr. Wood?
Amy Wood,
Amy Wood.
she's a nurse practitioner.
Okay, nurse practitioner, I apologize. She was performing CPR?
She started chest compressions.
At any point, did you guys get a pulse?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Was CPR the only procedure that was performed at that time?
When she started chest compressions, other employees showed up with the crash cart, and we started with the Andrew bag and did the chest compression CPR.
What's the Andrew bag?
That is what you put around the nose and the mouth to breathe air into their lungs.
Was there any trachea that was put in, or
No.
oh, like a trach or
Yeah,
something?
no, sir.
Okay. Can you explain to us what that is?
The trach.
Yeah.
We had access to that, but it wasn't done. But it's a tube, an artificial tube that would go down into the esophagus, into the lungs, and breathe for the child through the Andrew bag.
Now, was there, I call it an AED machine. Did you guys have one of those?
We did.
What is that?
That is a machine that you put pads on, and it pretty much shocks the body to hopefully get a heartbeat going, or put the heart rate into a normal sinus rhythm, which is like a normal heartbeat.
Okay. And was that employed on Karter?
Yes.
And what happened?
The machine actually tells you if there is what they call a shockable rhythm. So it detects something that you're able to shock the heart. And it did say there was a shockable rhythm. And so we did, we all cleared and shocked Karter.
Okay. And what happened after that?
His body was shocked, and then it kind of just went back flatline on the AED. There was no heartbeat.
Okay. Were there chest compressions?
We started back chest compressions, yes, sir.
Okay. And I think some of your coworkers called 911, correct?
Yes.
So at some point, did EMS arrive?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened once they got there?
Once they got there, we got Karter on the gurney. Chest compressions were being performed as he was being taken out of the building all the way into the ambulance.
Okay. And what did you do? So did the ambulance take him somewhere?
No, they stayed in the parking lot for a little bit. I believe they were trying to get an IO on him because we couldn't get.
What is that?
An IO actually goes into the bone, and it's another way that he can get fluids or life-saving.
So it's a different kind of IV?
solutions. Correct.
Okay, okay. And were they, so the EMS is still there trying to do that. At some point, did you see them leave, do you know?
I don't think I saw them leave. I didn't visualize them leaving.
Okay. And when EMS had Karter, what were you doing?
I stayed outside with the gentleman that brought him in, just kind of consulting him, and I believe I asked where Mom was, and he was sitting like 5 minutes away, but I kind of just stood out there in the parking lot for a little bit.
Okay, did Mom ever show up? Was he on the phone at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you overhear anything?
I did hear the
Of course,
gentleman.
please, I would object to that. I mean, that's blatant hearsay.
Well, it's a statement by a co-conspirator.
The objection never ruled.
What did you hear him say?
I heard the gentleman tell Mom on the phone, I should have brought him in last night when you told me to.
Okay. And, I mean, it seems, was that kind of the only part of the conversation that you picked up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know what he was driving?
It was a Mustang. I don't remember the color.
Do you recall if you saw him leaving the Mustang?
Yes.
Okay. Was that when you messed left?
I don't remember.
Nothing further on.
Mr. Grove, Chief,
I do have a few questions. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cochran, my name is Jeff Rue. I'm a lawyer from Warner Robins. You're representing Ms. Davis. How long was it that you say that you worked for pediatrics?
9 years.
You were familiar with Ms. Davis?
I was not. I believe that I worked for Robert Ford, and I think that Karter was a patient of Dr. Waters, so it was kind of on the opposite side of the building.
Okay. But in any event, did you come to know that this child was a regular patient of your place of employment?
Yes, sir.
All right. And on this particular day, well, I guess subsequent to this happening, you wrote a statement that you provided to, who did you provide the statement to for the statement?
I was just told to do a statement, and I believe an officer came and picked the statements up. I think I handed it to my manager, who was elected.
But you were asked by your employer, everyone was asked to prepare a statement.
Yes, sir.
And you had stated on this document that you wrote that it was around 8:47 that particular morning. Does that sound about right?
Yes, sir.
And that's when Mr. Benton brought the child in, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The whole time that Mr. Benton was with the child, was he on FaceTime with Ms. Davis?
I knew that he was on the phone with her, but I didn't know it was FaceTime.
Okay, but they were talking to each other?
Yes, sir.
They're sort of real frantic.
Yes.
They were real frantic. And the child was taken to room 4 where you started doing some work on him, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice any bruises on his body?
I did not.
Did you notice any blood?
Mm-hmm.
And the concern was he was brought in first, that he maybe had some sort of asthma attack, is that right?
I think we knew that was his history, and so we were just thinking it was respiratory issues,
Right.
not knowing the whole story.
Okay. But you didn't notice anything on his body that would indicate any sort of injury?
No, sir.
Was the child wearing a diaper when he was brought in?
He had on a pull-up and a t-shirt.
Okay.
That's all.
And in the pull-up, was there any urine in the pull-up that you know of?
I don't recall.
Was there any sort of bowel movement?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Just a second, John.
Okay.
Judge, I have nothing else. Thank you, Mr. Cochran.
Chief, excuse me.
thank you, Ms. Cochran. You're free to go and stay as you wish.
Thank you.
Dr. Brown.
All right.
Thanks. Can you raise your right hand?
Sure.
Swear affirm testimony about to give you the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Can you state your name for the record?
Sure, my name is Daniel Brown.
Can you spell it for the court?
Sure, D-A-N-I-E-L-B-R-O-W-N.
Mr. Brown, are you currently employed?
Yes, part-time, yes.
All right, can you go ahead and explain that?
I worked for Georgia Bureau of Investigation as a medical examiner in Augusta for 15 years. And when I retired, I went to work for the city of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania for another 5 years, and then moved back to Akron, Ohio, because that's where my wife's family's from. And then those are basically the jobs that I've had.
For Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia.
City of Philadelphia, right, medical examiners.
And when did you retire from GBI?
2014.
2014? Okay. Did you ever come back and work for GBI in any capacity?
I do. After I retired, when I left Philadelphia and I came back to Ohio, I was contacted by GBI and they asked me if I would be interested in working as a part-time medical examiner. So I accepted that in June of 2020, and so I've been doing that ever since. I come back 1 week a month, 2 cases, either in Savannah or Macon.
And can you explain what exactly a medical examiner does?
Medical examiner is a physician who's trained in forensic pathology, and we basically are charged with determining the cause and manner of death in whatever jurisdiction we're in.
So you perform autopsies?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what kind of education do you have?
I earned a bachelor's degree at Kent State in Ohio. I earned my medical degree at American University in Coral Gables, Florida. I did my training in anatomic pathology, which is just general pathology, at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I did my forensic training at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for the State of Maryland in Baltimore. And after that, I came to work for Georgia Bureau of Investigation. I was the medical examiner in Augusta.
Dr. Brown, will you do me a favor? Will you pull that mic a little bit that way so it's in front of your mouth when you turn?
Yeah.
And there you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
No problem.
So let me back up a little bit. You said you got your undergraduate degree from Kent State?
Yep.
And that's a 4-year degree?
Correct.
And what was your degree in?
Criminal justice and biology.
Okay, biology. And then you went to medical school?
Yes.
Okay, and how long was medical school?
4 years.
4 years, okay. And then afterwards, where did you go?
Then I went to University of Tennessee to do a residency in pathology.
And what is the residency?
A residency is after you train as a medical, no matter what type of physician you become, if you choose to specialize, you do a fellowship in internal medicine, cardiovascular surgery, whatever your interest is. My interest was in forensic pathology, so I did my fellowship, which is 2 years in addition to my 3 years at the University of Tennessee, which was general pathology. I did 2 years at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Baltimore, and that was my fellowship. And from there, I went.
How many years was that?
Total? Or you mean just for forensic
The
pathology?
residency and then the fellowship.
Residency was 3 years, and fellowship was 2 more.
And in this residency, in this fellowship, were you actually performing autopsies?
Yes, absolutely.
So, are you a board certified doctor or MD?
Yeah, certified by the Board of Forensic Medicine.
Are you still?
Yes.
And so this residency and fellowship, that's like training and performing autopsies, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Roughly how many autopsies have you performed in your career?
Over 15,000, I don't know the exact number. I do about 300 autopsies a year for the last 24 years, whatever it's been.
And have you had the occasion to testify in court about any of your autopsies?
Yes.
About how many?
How many times testifying?
Yes.
200 or 300. I mean, it's more than 200. I don't know if it's 300, but it's more than 200.
Those times that you've been deemed an expert in forensic pathology?
I have.
And is it all the time, some of the time?
I've never not been, but
Okay. So let me do this. So when you perform an autopsy, can you just give us just like a 360,000-foot view of kind of what that process
sure.
is?
Whenever, and I'll mostly talk about it as far as Georgia goes, whenever we get notified by the coroner that there has been a death, then we decide with the coroner whether or not it's a case that needs to be seen. Some cases do not need to be seen by a medical examiner. If we deem that it is necessary to be seen, it's brought to our facility. The coroner brings it, and after the body's been put in a body bag from wherever the scene was, whether they died at the hospital or died at home or wherever, they get put in a body bag. It's brought to a GPI, medical examiner's office. First thing we do is we open the bag and we take photographs. And this is just to show, not just for our purpose, but for this kind of purpose, is to see what we saw when we received the body. After we've done that, then the body is clothed, and we look for any signs of injury or any signs of pathology. And once we've done that and documented it, either written word or photographs, usually photographs, if there is any injury or pathology to document. After that, then we do either a limited autopsy or we do a full close. A limited autopsy would be somebody that had a history of heart disease and passed out at home. We may do a limited on them just to show that they actually did have, the coronary artery disease. Or a full autopsy. Full autopsy is, we look at all the internal organs, the brain, all of the bodies, tissues inside to see if there's any kind of injury or pathology in the internal examination.
Okay. And so, did you perform an autopsy in this case?
I did.
Okay. And so let me,
Judge, before we get too far, I have no questions as to the qualifications of this witness.
then at this point, the state would ask the court to deem Dr. Brown an expert in forensic pathology.
We have no objection based on what I've heard.
He'll be so qualified.
Thank you. So, do you need a copy of your report to go over this?
I stuck one in my pocket.
Okay, all right.
You wanna use
Well,
that?
don't read from it. I just want to make sure you have it in front of you in case you need
Okay.
it.
What if I don't refresh my memory?
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll handle that if we need to. So you received a body in this case, did you not?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the name?
No, off the top of my head. Hold on. The deceased's name was Karter Ambrose.
How old was he?
He was 2 years and 10 months.
So you performed a full autopsy on him, correct?
That's correct.
Is an autopsy on a child different than an adult?
Well, we look at everything on a child, but we will look for things that maybe a child has, as a child would not normally be able to say to their parents or to their caretakers. So we look for signs of injury on children that are nonverbal, or they're one of the degree that they can talk to somebody and tell them how they were hurt or how they were injured, or what was happening with them. We usually get that from parents, and whether they had high fever, whether they had vomiting, and things like that. But we look for all these things, especially in a child, because we want to make sure that we cover all our bases as far as injury and pathology.
Okay. And you said you're looking for injury, stuff like that, right?
Correct.
Do you document that?
We do.
How do you do that?
We do the photographs, and I document it in my report.
All right, so I have what's previously been shown to the defense counsel states exhibits 2 through 11. Can you look at these real quick?
Sure.
Do you recognize them?
I do.
What are they?
These are photos taken at autopsy of this individual.
Okay. And are they a fair and accurate representation of the individual or this child at the time you performed the autopsy?
They are.
Do they appear to have changed or altered in any way?
No, we have our markers in the pictures. We take a picture of anything. We have the case number of that individual, and it's in the photograph, so that we can show that this was our picture that we took.
And you're on the state law from the evidence states exhibits 2 through 11.
They're admitted with the objection continuing.
So I think you said something about a number, right? So I'm going to, with the court's permission, put this on the overhead. And yeah, you can turn around and go. So is that the number that you're talking about?
Yes, this is an identification photograph. Everybody that comes to the office, they get an identification photograph. It's just a placard and their face shot.
So when you, this is kind of the beginning stage, right?
This is right at the beginning of the autopsy.
And so when you were getting ready to perform your autopsy, did you have any impressions as to kind of what may have caused the death or any backstory on why he was there?
As far as the backstory goes, we were told that it was that he was taken to his family pediatrician because he had been having breathing troubles and had been given breathing treatments. And then when he was at the pediatrician, he was unresponsive, so the pediatrician began resuscitative measures while he waited for EMS to move that to the hospital.
Okay. And so I guess it was your impression that maybe you were looking at some kind of respiratory problem?
That's the impression that we were given at the beginning, was that this sounds like a child with some type of inflammatory awareness.
And when you performed your autopsy, did you find any evidence that there was some kind of disease, respiratory disease?
No, we did not.
Okay. What did you find?
We found, well, first of all, an external examination, we found a lot of injury on the body. And the reason in it, I would describe that as an older or remote injury because it's been already scheduled. These injuries were all within a recent time frame. They weren't hours between them. So then I just note those. And I note those on the body.
Okay, so what external injuries did you look at?
We saw some abrasion. Abrasion is just a scraping of the skin. We saw abrasion around the nose here. We saw some contusion, which is bruising around the corner of the mouth and on the inside of the lips. I'd have to look at the report.
So if you look at your report, go ahead.
Right, the nostril is a red abrasion. That's what the way I describe abrasion. If it's an older abrasion, it would be dry. Eventually, they can scab. But if they dry, there's no fresh hemorrhage or anything, and it has a kind of a brown color to it. When I describe it as red, that means that's from either the contusion, if it's contusion, or it's from the abrasion, it's the hemorrhage from an abrasion. This was, I had an abrasion on the right upper lip, an abrasion on the left upper lip, and an abrasion on the mucosal surface, which is the inside of the surface of the lower lip, the lower lip. So that's a contusion on the inside of the lip. There were a couple round red-blue contusions, which are recent.
Where were they?
Oh, this was on the left side of the face. Some injuries, contusion. A small contusion on the right chest, adjacent to the sternum, next to the breastbone. A round red contusion on the right upper abdomen, along the costal margin, which is right where your rib cage, if you feel a rib cage, that's the costal margin. Blue-green discoloration on the abdomen, that's another contusion. Red contusion on the abdomen, overlying the umbilicus, which is your belly button. And a squared red abrasion, a couple of them on the underside of the scrotum. So just underneath the scrotum. And a couple small linear red abrasions on the right mid-abdomen, so the middle of the abdomen.
So I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 3. You can look at
Sure.
it behind you. So what are we looking at in this picture?
This is the your pointer.
I can go.
Unfortunately, the laser pointer does not work very well
Okay.
on my new fancy TV screen. So
If you-
feel free to stand up,
Yeah,
doctor,
stand.
if you need to, but I want you to speak up real
Oh, I
loud
will. Okay.
for the jury.
All right, I will. This is a contusion around the cheek here. This is some dermatitis. It's not really. It looks worse than it is. It's not really. This is some kids get that chafing. But this is a contusion. That's a red contusion right there.
So let me just focus on that
Sure.
contusion that you're
Sure.
talking about.
Sure.
When you say contusion, what do you mean?
A contusion, I'm sorry, is a bruise.
A bruise? Okay.
So it's the blood vessels under a bruise. The blood vessels are broken, but they have not broken the surface. So that this coloration you see is the hemorrhage underneath.
Could that contusion that you're referring to in this photo on his cheek be some kind of reaction to something else, like an allergic reaction?
No, that's not.
That's not an allergic reaction? I'm going to publish States 5 now. And what are we looking at in States 5?
These are the contusions I talked about on the upper lip. This is the mucosal surface of the inside of the lip, and that's a contusion on the inside of the inside.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. So CPR is performed on this child. When you're doing an autopsy, do you look for signs or injuries that could be a result of CPR?
Yes.
Okay. And what would those be?
Well, in adults, it's usually fractured ribs
Okay.
from compressions, because the EMTs work them very hard. And but in a child, most of the time, we don't see injury because a child, especially someone under the age of 4 or 5 years old, their lungs or their rib cage is still very pliable. So you can put a lot of pressure on that without causing any breakage or anything like that. I didn't see signs under over the sternum or around the ribs of hemorrhage.
Okay. And I didn't quite ask you the question I meant to ask.
Okay.
So oftentimes when people are trying to keep someone alive, they get like trachea, do they try to get oxygen to them?
Right.
Okay. And if you look for injury from that?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, well, he had an endotracheal tube somebody put in, which I can't just count that as not being part of the injury on the lip there.
Oh.
Up there, not so much, but here, that's in the same place where they replaced the endotracheal tube.
The upper lip, not so much?
Not so much on the upper lip, because the tube going in here and down.
Okay. And as part of that, I mean, so what is this little part right here?
This,
Yes.
that's the frenulum.
Frenulum, okay.
And
When,
that has a little bit of confusion on it, but that, again, that could be possibly from the endotracheal too.
okay. So I'm gonna publish United States Exhibit 6. I apologize for the glare, I'm trying my best here.
Okay.
What is being depicted in this photograph?
On this, I'm just showing, or we're just showing the different, there were some areas of bruising or contusion on the abdomen. That's what these little areas are right here, around, and this is on the right side of the abdomen right here. And that's where those injuries are. This is the costal margin, or the edge of the rib cage would be right down along here.
Okay. So you said areas, plural.
Yeah, there's several.
Several, so can you specifically point in that picture to where they are?
This I won't need. Red contusion on the right upper chest adjacent to sternum. That'd be this one right by that. There's a well-healed scar that has nothing to do with this. But it's right beside that well-healed scar is a contusion on that one. There was one on the midline abdomen on the upper margin. That would be this right up here. Those areas right there. There's another red contusion on the left upper abdomen along the costal margin. So that would be this contusion. This is the costal margin right here. So it'd be right in that area there. That's what that discoloration is. And any others. The others are other injuries on the body.
Yeah. So, and this is States Exhibit 8.
This just shows some of the same areas of hemorrhage around the willingness to stability. There's some contusions around there that I measured for photographs of.
So how many injuries are to that that you locate? Six.
Different.
And you found other external injuries, correct?
Yes, there was abrasion on the underside of the scrotum.
Okay, and this is States Exhibit 10.
Yeah, this is just, this is abrasion, not a contusion. It can be contused abrasion. It can have abrasion that also has hemorrhage around it, under the skin. And this is the abrasion though, right here. And then there's some contusion around that. But this is the injury that's right underneath the underside of the scrotum, which is right in the peritoneal area, right underneath between your buttocks and your scrotum. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so we just talked about the external injuries that you observed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as part of the autopsy that you performed on the child, did you find any internal injuries?
Yeah, we did.
What kind of internal injuries did you find?
The major internal injury that I saw was a laceration of the liver. And I'll refresh my memory here with how long it was. A 2.5 inch laceration of the liver at the attachment of the falciform ligament, which is where the liver has a right lobe and a left lobe, and there's a ligament that goes right between them. It's right next to the largest lobe of the liver. There's two lobes, largest one on the right.
Now, I think you said it was either the main or the major injury that you located.
There was other hemorrhages in here.
Well, then let's talk about those.
Okay,
Do you
sure.
want to
There
all
were-
of the internal injuries that you found?
Okay, sure. There was a hemorrhage on the scalp. When we reflect the scalp, what we do, we reflect the scalp means that we open it. In other words, we make a cut across from one side of the head to the other, and then we take the scalp and pull it forward this way and pull it forward and back. And in that, in the right and the back right, right posterior parietal, which is back in this area, there was hemorrhage in the scalp there, so that was indicating that there was some type of trauma in that area. Something caused that hemorrhage in the scalp. Also, there were. There was also the vertex. There was some hemorrhage at the vertex, which is the top of the scalp. The anterior abdominal wall muscles, in other words, your six-pack, or whatever you want to call those muscles in the front, the rectus abdominis muscles, there was hemorrhage in those. So that's from some type of trauma to those muscles that would cause them to bleed. The tissue in the mesentery, what the mesentery is the fat, in your small and large bowel, kind of goes like this, fish like back and forth through your lower abdomen. And between that, what holds that together is mesentery fat. And there's a lot of blood vessels in there. Well, there was hemorrhage in these blood vessels and in the fat of the small and large bowel. And then the laceration of the liver was that was the major injury that I saw. And about 200 ml of blood, which is
When you say ml, what do you mean?
milliliters. I'm sorry, 200 milliliters of blood, which is probably the size of amount they would hold in a cola can. There was hemorrhage in the pancreas, which is right there with the small, right next to the small valve. There was hemorrhage in the testicular cord, which is the cord that holds the testicles. So near the same area as that abrasion was. And there was some serosal hemorrhage of the intestines. Serosal surface of the intestines is just the top surface, and there was some hemorrhage in that. Also the trauma.
All right, so this is State's Exhibit 11.
Okay,
What is that?
that's the, this is it's the right lobe of the liver. The liver sits right here under your diaphragm, or right below your diaphragm. And this, up before the liver, this thing right here. And it's right in the middle between these two lobes. Like I said, this is the right lobe of the liver is large, and it tapers and gets smaller over this side. But there was trauma to this part of the stomach that caused that to tear. The liver is a pretty solid organ, but it's still very friable, meaning you can tear it or push into it easily. So it doesn't take much force.
Sit back there. So as part of your role as a medical examiner performing the autopsy, do you determine if there's a method and manner of death?
We do. That's our job, is to determine cause and manner.
Okay. And what information do you use in order to make that determination, provide that opinion?
Well, partly is we base it upon coroner and law enforcement, because they would tell us what circumstance brought this person brought to us to be the autopsy. The other thing is then we take into consideration what injuries we see, and is it something that would be consistent with one incident, or could it be consistent with several different incidents, especially with child.
So when you say incident, what do you mean?
I mean, was it just one thing? Was it just a lacerated liver, or was there other things that we can document that were? So that's our part of our job, is to determine all these different things, whether what one or which ones contributed to this person's demise.
Okay. And did you find just one thing?
The main thing was hemorrhage was the main reason. The laceration of the liver, hemorrhage, and the hemorrhage in the abdominal, the intestines things, that all collectively contributed to that.
Okay. You said collectively.
Yeah.
But there's evidence of other injuries, right?
The injuries, the external injuries, were all ones that we would consider. We would consider those. We look for something, especially in a shock. We look to see what kind of injuries they have. In children, a lot of the injuries that we see on a child are not necessarily in this case, but on children we see where they're a toddler or something, they may have scrapes and things like that from walking in furniture or falling down or things like that. But we don't see a lacerated liver with that.
Okay. Well, when you performed the autopsy, did you find any of those bruises or scrapes on any of his extremities?
Well, not on the extremities. It was mostly on his mouth and his abdomen.
Okay. So what, in your opinion, was the cause of death?
It was a blood force trauma of the abdomen and the.
Okay. And was that laceration of the liver?
Correct.
Blunt force feedback?
Correct.
Laceration of the liver? Okay. And what was the manner?
The manner of death would certainly be homicide.
Okay. So you said that you based this on kind of the information that you gathered plus the autopsy, whatever you find.
Right.
Autopsy. Is this a scenario where it could be an accident?
In this case, no.
Okay. Why do you say that?
These injuries are ones that it doesn't support an accident. If a lacerated liver is something I see like a car accident, a lacerated liver is serious. I mean, that's a major injury. And the story that we were told, or the information we provided, didn't indicate that this child had been in any kind of situation where he would get an injury to his liver that devastating.
And you say it's a major injury, and I think you kind of put it in the context of a car accident.
That's
Are you referring kind of to the force that's needed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How much force do you think is needed to lacerate the liver?
Well, it would take a significant amount because the liver is somewhat protected by the abdomen, so you've got to put some force onto that. And the reason I say car accident is because we do see that in car accidents. We see a lot more injuries than just that in a car accident. But this was directed, focused on that abdomen and that liver. In other words, this was to get that falling down on your belly. You're not going to get a lacerated liver. Falling out of a bunk bed, you're not going to get a lacerated liver. The only way you would get that is if you fell onto something. And it would have to be something significant that was hard, that enough that whenever you fell on it or were high enough to fall on it and hit it hard enough to push in far enough to lacerate your liver. We don't see that in kids.
And is it fair to say that if you did fall off a bunk bed
Okay.
and land on a traffic cone, you would see one impact?
Well, yeah, if we're talking about like one of those plastic cones or something like that, and that would have to, in my mind, that plastic cone would maybe not even, but it's that type of shape. It gives you a focus. A focus point is the top of that cone. If you're falling from a height and you hit that, possibly within and deep enough through the bowel and hit the liver and lacerated. But it just falling from the bunk bed or something like that, I wouldn't expect to see a lacerated liver.
Could this potentially have been caused by CPR?
It's unlikely. The reason I say that is because the CPR that from what I understand, that was performed was done at the pediatrician's office, and a pediatrician would know not to push on the abdomen to do CPR.
So when you're doing CPR,
You push on the chest or the line of the sternum.
okay. So let me ask you this. So it took a while for this report to be generated, right? Your autopsy report.
It takes a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this one probably took longer than normal.
Well, we had to wait for toxicology results, and we had to
Okay.
wait for histology results,
Okay.
which is looking at tissue under the microscope.
Okay. And so, I think, were you able to determine the time of death?
No.
Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. A time for when the injury occurred.
I can't give you, it wasn't days. It was probably hours.
Well, and that's what I'm referring to. So do you recall a number of months later that there was a meeting with some people where you guys went over it and
Well, I
discussed
went over with the chief there.
With the chief?
The chief medical examiner. His name's Jonathan Eisenstadt.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, was there a time frame for the injury?
I would have to look back. I'm not sure. Jonathan's very good at what he does, but I don't remember.
No, that's okay.
He gave us
That's
the
okay.
time.
But you just recall that there was
Oh,
another
yeah,
medical
that's
examiner
right.
who
This
was
is
not
important.
involved.
Right.
in
This was an important
investigation.
case to look at very carefully. So I included the chief medical examiner. I don't remember if there's anybody else, but we went over the case, and I'm sure if he came up with a timeline, I just don't remember.
No, I don't have anything further at this time.
Mr. Bird, please review.
Thank you, Howard. Dr. Brown, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jeff Bruce here, representing Ms. Davis in this matter. Let me, some of the things you just talked about, the autopsy report that you signed off on was several months later, is that correct?
I'm going to look, but it's probably right. It usually takes a while.
Okay, the death was on November the 17th of 2020, and you signed off on this report on September the 29th of 2021, is that correct?
We're here. Yes, that appears to be correct.
That would have been over 10 months later, is that right?
Correct.
And you, in answering the questions of Mr. Dwayne, you just mentioned that a lot of times you waited for the crime lab reports as far as toxicology and things of that nature, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're aware, are you not, that the toxicology report that was done by Amanda Cook was completed on December the 16th of 2020. Do you have any recollection of that?
Well, I don't have that in front of me, but that sounds right.
Okay, so it was about a month after the death, is that right?
That would be about right.
All right. And then there was another report done by Carla Turner, forensic toxologist, in your office that was completed on December the 23rd of 2020. Does that sound about right?
If that's on the report, yeah.
Okay. So, were there any other reports that you were waiting on in a period of time from basically Christmas of 2020 until you signed off on your report at the end of September of the next year, 9 months or so later?
Not that I recall.
Okay. And you had mentioned that I guess your superior was Dr. Eisenstadt, is that correct?
Yes, he was the chief at the time.
And I guess from time to time you met with Dr. Eisenstadt concerning the cause of death in this matter.
I don't know how many times we've met. He is. You have to remember, I live in Ohio, so I come down 1 week a month, to either Macon or Pooler, Savannah, to do cases. So whenever I would be able to see him, it would only be whenever I go up to headquarters.
Okay.
And if you say we have several meetings, I'll take the word
All
for
right.
it, but I don't remember.
And Mr. Dwayne just asked you some questions about when you met with Dr. Eisenstadt and other people in your office later on, in September of 2021, to go ahead and get this autopsy report prepared. Is that right?
Yes.
And this was something that was done online with you and Dr. Eisenstadt and the district attorney's office here and the sheriff's department here, Houston County Sheriff's Department. Do you recall that?
I was here for that. I remember meeting with Eisenstadt, but I don't remember meeting online with that's the case.
Well, I mean, do you remember talking to the district attorney's office about your findings?
Not until recently.
Okay.
Because this was a case from 5.5 years ago, so.
Sure, okay. But nonetheless, you wouldn't disagree that your office, being the GBI, Division of Forensic Sciences, talked with the district attorney's office just immediately prior to you issuing or signing off on your autopsy report. Is that right?
I don't know who they talked to before I signed off on my report.
Okay. But you recognize that it was several months later.
Yes, this is during COVID too, whenever
Sure.
when I came down, there were times that the lab had to be closed, and
Right.
so,
And there was there ever any concerns that COVID may have been involved in this child's death?
no.
Just a second, man. Dr. Brown, let me just ask you this. I take it that the autopsy was done within a day or so of the child dying. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
And this was done where? At the facility in Macon?
It was. Yeah, central lab, that was it.
Okay, a central labs in Macon or Dry Branch actually?
Correct. Dry branch, yes, that's the central lab.
And who all, as far as the photographs that were taken, who took those photographs? Did you take them or did?
No, I directly who took them. They were taken by our autopsy assistants. There's what they call death investigation specialists and forensic pathology assistants, and they're the ones who take all photographs.
All right. But in any event, and you were told originally that the child had some asthma problems. Is that right? Some respiratory problems?
Yeah, suppose they had breathing problems, and the story that we were told was that the child had breathing problems, that the boyfriend, caretaker, said the breathing problems, contacted the mother. Mother said, he said he gave breathing treatment, he gave another breathing treatment, evidently that didn't work, she should take him to the pediatrician.
All right. Now, you testified as to that you noticed some injuries to the top of the head or the back of the head. Is that right?
Yeah, some scalp hemorrhage.
Okay.
There was no injury to the brain or the skull.
Okay. But none of that contributed to the child's death.
That shouldn't have, no.
I mean, not at all. I mean, that's just typical in the child's existence. Is that fair?
I don't know that it wasn't part of the continuum, whether the child was receiving blunt force trauma at the same time. I don't know. But no, the scalp hemorrhage itself would not have caused this child's death.
All right. Now, in your report, or there was some talk about this child that the injuries could have occurred anywhere from within 24 hours to 72 hours prior to the child's demise. Is that correct?
And that was in my report.
Well, I mean, wasn't it you recall Dr. Eisenstadt telling you that was?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay at this point.
I don't think Dr. Eisenstadt's conclusions can come in. You can ask this witness if he reached that conclusion or not.
All right. Well, did you reach that conclusion that it was within 24 to 72 hours?
No, I didn't put time on it.
You put how long?
I mean, it was recent, but it was not, I can't tell you how many hours.
I mean, could it have been an hour before the child's death?
Doubtful.
Okay. Could it have been a week before?
No, because some of the injuries would have healed.
They were.
Some of the injuries would have been in the process of healing. So we wouldn't have seen all the injury that we saw. They'd all been scabs or something, some of the injuries in the mouth, injuries on the body would have healed, or they've been in the process of healing. In other words, scabbing over. So you don't get a scab the next day.
Okay, but did any of the injuries that you showed around the mouth there, did that contribute to the child's death?
No,
Okay. I'm talking about a lacerated liver.
that's correct.
Okay. And I understand that there's a term called lingering liver bleed. Is that a statement?
That word, I've never heard that term.
Okay. But we don't know when the injury occurred, do we?
I do not.
I mean, it's something that could have happened. As far as the liver is concerned, is that something that could have happened within, say, 6 hours of the child dying?
The liver was lacerated and it bled, and it just depends on how fast it bled. I don't know how long it took for it to
I
happen.
mean, you don't have an educated guess as to, I mean, if it was an hour before, 6 hours
That's an
before.
answer, Judge.
Objections overruled.
I mean, do you have an educated opinion as to when it could have happened?
No.
Or how it could have happened?
It happened from blunt force trauma.
Okay. What is blunt force trauma? I mean, from a car wreck, you've already established that.
And they didn't tell me he was in a car wreck.
Okay. All right. I mean, it could happen from someone hitting someone with a baseball bat.
Oh, absolutely good.
Okay.
Significant trauma to the abdomen, couple laceration of the liver.
And you don't know how that significant trauma occurred,
I do not.
or any suppositions now?
I do not.
Just a second, John, please. And once again, as far as the liver is concerned, would there be any, besides the laceration, any other injuries to the liver?
There was only the laceration that I saw.
Okay. And your testimony was that you saw some other bruising on the outside of the body. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would that be consistent with the lacerated liver?
The ones on the contusions or bruising on his abdomen most certainly could have, because it also contused and bruised the inside of his internal organs. So that's where the blunt force trauma to the abdomen, and that's where the liver's located.
If a person has suffered from a lacerated liver, is there any way of telling or showing as to where the blood would exit the body? I mean, would it exit the body through urine, through a bowel movement of some sort?
No.
No? Okay. I mean, would blood come out of someone's mouth or nose or ears or anything like that?
It's in a confined space. The liver's in the peritoneal cavity. It's a cavity. There's no conduit out to the outside world from there. And it can stay in the cavity and flocculate or collect in soft tissue like the adipose tissue of the blood or the fatty tissue that surrounds these organs. And that's what we had.
And it could stay there for days.
It would usually, if it stayed there for days, it would have been clotted. And eventually it would clot. This blood was not clotted.
Just a second. Let me ask this question: If there were some evidence that in the hours or days previous to the child's demise that would there be? Could you infer from your opinion that the child would have thrown up blood or vomited blood?
No. I mean, the vomiting from being of a blow to the stomach is common for anybody.
Okay.
But I don't know. I guess I don't know what the question is. If he threw up, it wouldn't be blood. It would be whatever's in the stomach contents.
Okay, but it would, I guess it would have nothing to do with the lacerated liver.
The liver is in the same cavity as the bowel and the stomach, but they don't interconnect in any way. In other words, the liver tears the blood, it comes out, goes out and into the tissue like muscle, and the fatty tissue around it would stay there.
But have you seen situations happen where there's been a lacerated liver for a longer period of time than 24 to 72 hours?
It's been longer than that?
Yes.
Not being treated? No, I haven't seen that.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. White?
No.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. You are free to go stay as you wish. You may be excused.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Eisenstadt. right, and please do swear or affirm testimony about you being truthful, truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I did.
Thank you. You can be seated. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Jonathan Eisenstadt.
Can you spell your name for the court report?
Sure. JONATHANEISENSTAT.
And how are you currently employed?
Currently, I wear a couple hats. I still perform autopsies at 2 medical examiner offices, Cobb County in Metro Atlanta and New York City, where I did my training. So I go there about once every month and a half or so to do cases. I also do autopsies for 2 Emory hospitals, St. Joseph's and Johns Creek. And then my other hat is doing consulting work as an expert witness in forensic pathology.
And so, let me see, you work for GBI at some point?
I worked for GBI for a while, yes.
How long did you work for?
So I started as an associate medical examiner in 2006. In 2014, I became deputy chief, so second in command. And then in 2015, I became the chief medical examiner, which I stayed in until January of 2022.
Okay. And so the chief medical examiner, so you kind of oversee everybody who's performing the autopsies and so forth.
Right, I still did autopsies, but I basically ran the state death investigation.
And let me back up. If we can talk about your educational background. Can you tell us?
Sure. So after medical school, I actually started in surgery. Realized it was not the profession I wanted to stick with, so I transferred out of that after a year and a half and started general pathology training. That's if you go to the hospital, have surgery, anything taken out, that goes to pathologists, look at it under the microscope, and at the tissue itself, make the diagnosis, let your doctor know, the doctor lets you know if it's cancer or something else. I did that for 3.5 years, and then did a year of pediatric pathology, which is, again, the same thing as at hospital pathology, but now focusing on everything from fetuses up to around 18 years of age. After that, I did a year of forensic pathology training at the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, and stayed on 1 more year and did forensic neuro and forensic cardiac pathology training, which is looking at brain, spinal cords, hearts, vessels, things of that sort.
Roughly how many autopsies have you performed in your career?
I'm somewhere between about 4,300 and 4,400 right now.
And of those that you performed, how many were on children?
Oh, well, during my fellowship in pediatric pathology, I don't remember the exact number, but it was probably somewhere around 100 autopsies on children. And then throughout my forensic career, probably in the hundreds, because it's everything from children and like car accidents through quote-unquote SIDS, which is a different terminology now, and child abuse cases.
And of the times that you have performed an autopsy, have you had the occasion to testify to your findings in an autopsy?
I have.
Okay, roughly how many times?
In the hundreds.
Okay. And so let me, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. So I think you said something about pediatric, you have kind of training in pathology, kind of a wide, maybe not a wide range, but there's adult pathology and then there's kind of pediatric pathology, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you talk more about your training in pediatric pathology?
Sure. So that was at New York University Hospital, so NYU. And children are not little adults. Their disease processes are different. The way they break down things can be different. And so that's why there's a whole subspecialty in that. So during that year, I did autopsies on, again, babies from fetuses. I think during that year, probably the oldest child was in the early teens. And then also any biopsies or surgeries that were performed, the diseases of childhood can be different than the diseases of adulthood. So during that whole year, any specimen that was taken out by a physician, or a clinician, would come to us and we would look at it to make the diagnosis of what disease process, if it was a disease process, what it was.
And over your career, do you have kind of continual training or education in the field?
Yes, so I go to national conferences. I keep up with my continuing medical education, which is required to maintain your medical license. I'm a member of a number of organizations, which I actually am on a committee that writes continuing education articles for other physicians and investigators.
And, well, let me just do the John, at this point, I'm going to offer the witness as an expert in forensic pathology with a subspecialty training on pediatric pathology.
Mr. Greer, do you have voir dire or objections?
I have no objection, Sean.
He shall be so qualified.
So we're kind of throwing a lot of big words around, although I'm sure it can get a lot more complicated. So what is your role? So this is back in 2020, 2021. So you're the chief medical examiner for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. I believe that's the Division of Forensic Sciences.
Correct.
So where are you kind of headquartered?
So the headquarters are in Metro Atlanta, in Decatur. And at the time, I believe we had two other offices. One was in Macon and the other in Cooler, which was a coastal Savannah office. I was headquartered in the Atlanta office, but I would travel, obviously, throughout the entire state, considering the fact there are 155 of the counties in the state where we did that investigation for them. And so I'd be traveling quite a bit, but I was headquartered in Atlanta.
Okay. And so I think earlier you testified as chief medical examiner. You kind of oversee the medical examiner's office. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so other than administrative tasks, do you have any duties that are specific to certain types of cases or something like that?
Well, we would have a meeting every single day, both in the morning and in the afternoon, to discuss the cases that came in. And then we would also have meetings, and this was with all the offices, about difficult cases. And then just because of all those subspecialty training that I had in pediatrics, neuro, and cardiac, a number of the other physicians, the other medical examiners, would bring cases to me to review and give my opinions on.
And so did it come to your attention that an autopsy has been performed on a child named Karter Ambrose?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
I remember that it was in November of 2020 is when the case was performed. I have to be honest, I don't recall when I was first notified of the case.
Okay. But at some point, did your involvement increase in that particular case?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your involvement? What was the reason for that? Can you walk us through it?
Sure. So the general approach to a child death is, just like any other case, we have to look to see if there's traumatic injuries, if there's natural disease, is there something that predisposes the child to something, and then obviously since the child usually does not have the ability to, or may not want to convey whatever may or may not have happened, we have to look at the case and see if it fits with a specific story. And so this was a child with a fairly isolated injury. And I say injury again in a general term. What caused the liver to be injured? Was it an inflicted injury? Was it an accidental injury? Could there have been an underlying natural disease that predisposed the child to bleeding or softening of the tissues, so not as much force would be needed to cause the liver to be damaged? So Dr. Brown, who, did he just testify to that?
He did.
Okay, so Dr. Brown performed the autopsy, and at that time, every medical examiner office is extremely understaffed. So he was coming back and helping us do cases. And obviously, child death is well, I guess we would call it a high priority case. And so when I was notified about it, and it was an isolated injury, I wanted to review the case. And this is where the investigative side and the medicine side need to come together. And so I got involved because there were questions by law enforcement or the investigators, the coroner, and then eventually I called a meeting of all of us together so we could sit and go over the facts and the circumstances that the investigators were told, and if it fits with what we found in autopsy.
Okay. And so you guys had a meeting,
Yes.
and I believe it was Zoom or something, with a whole bunch of people.
Right, because we were all in so many different places. I believe Dr. Brown was either in Ohio or Pennsylvania, I can't remember. I was at headquarters. Perry, which is usually about a 2-hour drive. Today was a 3-hour drive because of just typical traffic. So it's just easier for all of us to do it in a Zoom. And the reason I wanted a Zoom is because I wanted to show pictures. Sometimes that's easier to understand what happened than just verbally.
Okay. And so you come in to look at this, and I think you said it was some people had some questions.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, you're okay.
Not uncommon in difficult cases and childhood cases.
Okay. And so you were called in to try to help answer those questions.
Yes, I had looked at the case already. It had not been finalized, meaning the autopsy obviously had been performed, but there's a lot of other studies that need to go into it. And I actually added some more work that I wanted to look at myself. And then when that was done, I called the meeting so we could all come together.
Okay. And what was that work that you did?
So I went back and put in, sometimes when we do an autopsy, we'll save some tissue in formaldehyde if it's that's a preservative, so it doesn't continue to denigrate in essence. And so I wanted to go back and put in more sections of the liver because when I say sections, those are tiny little pieces that get processed onto slides. and then we look under the microscope. And so I wanted to look at more of the liver to see if the liver was normal, meaning before the injury, if it was normal, and then also to look at what type of reaction was there to try and put it into a time frame, the injury.
So I think there's kind of two parts here, right? So I think maybe there's a kind of symptomology, and then this time frame portion you looked at. Is that correct?
Well, the symptomatology would be the investigative side.
Okay.
There was no doubt that the child died because of a liver injury. Now comes the question of what was the underlying cause of that. And especially in cases where timing can become an issue, childhood deaths are very common with timing as issues, and then there's some others where we want to know how long the injury's been there. So for me to feel comfortable, I went back and I put in more sections. So that's the timing aspect.
Okay. Well, but let's back up to the underlying issue aspect.
Sure.
So what all did you do to see if there was an underlying issue? Why would you look at an underlying issue and so forth?
Right. So anyone who knows anybody that, let's say, now moving away from children for a second, just to give an example, someone who is a chronic alcoholic and has liver cirrhosis. The liver is very important for blood clotting. And so if you know someone who has cirrhosis, if they fall, they can get a huge bruise, whereas someone who doesn't will get the normal bruise that will go away after a week or so. So since this was a liver injury, and the liver led to bleeding, and that's essentially what caused the child's death, I wanted to make sure that the liver itself did not have any underlying cirrhosis or a lot of genetic disorders affect the liver. And I sort of got off track from your question, I think, but we, just like in the hospital pathology, we look at the body, we look at the tissue, and then we look under the microscope. And each one of those can take us further and further into what a diagnosis may be. So the long and short of it is here, I looked at all the photos taken at autopsy, I looked at the slides that had already been taken, and then I went back and put in more slides. And I did not find any natural disease process that could account for the child's death, and I did not find any natural disease process that would predispose the liver to having an injury.
So the liver was healthy other than the injury?
Other than that, essentially everything was healthy. And the child, if I remember correctly, had a history of asthma, and that's very important as well. And that we see that in the lungs, but in this child there was no evidence of an acute asthmatic attack.
Okay. And so, when looking at whether or not there's an underlying issue or disease, why is that important?
For predisposing factors. Again, if I were to fall and hit my head, I probably should not have bleeding over my brain. Whereas somebody who may have that cirrhosis or some underlying disorder, same exact fall, may predispose to bleeding. So with the child, I just wanted to make sure there was no genetic or molecular or basically any underlying natural disease that would predispose this child to dying.
And is that important in the context of the blunt force injury?
Absolutely.
Okay, why is that?
Well, I mean, some of these underlying disorders can predispose someone to bleeding. Some of them can make the tissues change and get softer, so can be damaged easier. And so here, the liver looked normal except for the area around the injury, and that was all due. The changes were all due to the injury. So I didn't find anything that would make this child susceptible.
Okay, is the liver easily damaged?
No, it takes a decent amount of force to cause a laceration of the liver. We see those in motor vehicle collisions, in significant blunt force injuries.
Okay. So then kind of the second part of this is, I think you talked about time frame.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So, for any of us who've had a bruise, going back to like sort of a simple comparison, we know the bruise can be like purple or red at first, and then over a few days it may turn to yellow, and then after the yellow it can go brown and go away. If I were to look under the microscope, I'd look for very specific cells to tell me how old that bruise is. Because I can't tell you how old the bruise is just looking at it. Even with the yellow change in color, I have to see a specific cell under the microscope to say, this is at least 3 days old or not. So it's the same as any other tissue, including the liver, right? Let's say you cut yourself. You're going to have that cut with the red around it from the bleeding, then it may turn yellow a little bit, then you get the scab, then you can get a scar. The organs do the same thing, in a healing process, in essence. So the only way to age the liver injury is to look under the microscope. And when I look under the microscope, I look for blood, and the blood cells will start normal, and then they'll degenerate. I look for inflammatory cells. There are different types of inflammatory cells that can help me age it. I look for these spindly cells that come in, and that's what ends up forming a scar. And then I look for that yellow, that cell that's called hemosiderin. It's a breakdown product of blood, and that shows up in around 3 days after an injury. And we use a very special stain called an iron stain because it contains iron. And if we see it, we know that injury's been there for about 3 days. If we don't see it, and then we can add in all the other inflammatory cells, we can get an age range to that injury.
Okay, and so when you looked at what you were looking at, considering all these different things that you just explained to the jury, what did you see?
So I saw blood that was degenerating. I saw the liver tissue dying, which in the autopsy report is called necrosis. I saw inflammation. I stained it for iron. I didn't see any iron. Even before staining it with iron, I didn't see any of that yellow discoloration. I did not see any of those spindly cells coming in to try to heal it. So when I took all of that together, it told me that this injury occurred somewhere from 1 to 3 days prior to the time the child died. So the pronouncement of death.
Okay, so if you take the pronouncement of death, you have to go back full 24 hours. Is that correct?
Right, somewhere around 24 to 72 hours prior to the death.
Okay, so if you died Tuesday morning, you're going to have to back up, right? So Monday morning.
Right. So the injury would have occurred somewhere from Monday morning back to Saturday morning.
So obviously you're looking at internal things, you're looking at slides. Are there kind of external symptoms that can be present that someone may be experiencing that can indicate the laceration in the liver?
Well, I mean, there's bruising can help us identify where the impact occurred. And that's why I said, I looked at the autopsy photos, which showed some bruising in the right upper quadrant, which is where the liver is beneath, as well as some on the head, but there was no internal head injury. So the bruises can sort of guide you to where the impact happened.
Would someone potentially be throwing up as a result of the injury?
Oh, those kind of symptoms, yes. So as a person, just think about anything going on in your intestines, right? The liver takes bile, condenses it into the gallbladder, which shoots it out into your intestines. The pancreas, which has some hemorrhage around it, has a whole bunch of enzymes that come out and help digest certain things. And so if you have an injury to any of that, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, can be. Take away the abdominal pain, the nausea and vomiting are sort of non-specific. But again, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain would point us towards an abdominal injury. Or a natural process. But again, that's why we do a complete autopsy and we look under the microscope.
And so you've given us this time frame, right? And you said that you reviewed kind of the case file, you guys had this meeting, you familiarized yourself with it, and it's been deemed a homicide, right?
Correct.
With blunt force impact to the abdomen causing the lacerated liver. Do you guys look, and you've described a lot, but do you look at, it's a homicide, and I know that you referred to car wrecks earlier, stuff like that. Why isn't it an accident?
Sure. So, and I'm sorry if I'm repetitive, I don't know what Dr. Brown testified to, but we basically have 5 manners of death. Natural, which we ruled out through the autopsy. Suicide, this is not a suicide, that's an intentional self-inflicted injury. Accident, and I'll explain how we determined not accident, and yes, homicide. Homicide, which means death at the hands of another individual. And then the last is undetermined. And undetermined is if we don't have enough evidence to go one way or the other. So here, this is part of the investigative process, is to get the information that was the investigators have compiled. To lacerate a liver in an almost 3-year-old child, you have to have a very focused injury, very focused area of pressure. And externally on the skin, there were multiple bruises. Not a single bruise, but multiple bruises in the area overlying where the liver is located. So that moves us along the route of more likely than not a homicide at that moment. Then you think about the mechanism. A child who's running like a toddler is running around, not usually, I don't think I've ever seen, would fall and lacerate their liver. They may fall and bruise their hands, or they may fall and spin their knee, or something to that effect. So from the autopsy, we already were at the point of more likely than not inflicted injury. And then from the investigation, there was no story that was given to us that would comport with an accidental type of death. Nothing fell on the child that we were told of. Just nothing from the investigation pointed towards an accident.
So, something, we discussed on the phone prior to your testimony, one of the things we discussed was CPR, whether or not CPR could cause this type of injury.
Right.
Can you kind of elaborate as whether or not that can be true?
Sure. So CPR can cause injuries to internal organs. More often that's in an adult because our ribs are much firmer than in a child. So when you do CPR in a child, the ribs have a lot more cartilage still, so they're more flexible than in an adult. But when you do CPR, the heart is over the center and left of the chest. So you're doing CPR here. The liver's over here. The only times I've ever seen liver injury as a result of CPR is, and when I say adult, I'm talking about like in the teen ages all the way up, is when there's been aggressive CPR on an adult, and you have rib fractures, and because they press so hard, and then you can see the ribs are pushing down onto the liver. So that's part one. Part two, again, multiple marks that were round and circular in the right upper quadrant of the abdomen. I don't think I've ever seen that in CPR. Multiple round contusions or bruises overlying the liver. I've seen it over the chest, because in a child sometimes, usually an infant, you want to do CPR with a few fingers, but that's here, that's not over here.
Let me ask you just one question. Do you charge for testifying?
I do. I charge for testifying in my consulting work. Here, since I don't work for GBI anymore, I basically just ask for a little bit, so you guys take the whole day off.
Right, and so have you asked for that money?
I did.
How much is it?
$500.
Nothing for it,
Mr. Burke, would you?
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Eisenstein, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jeff Drew. I'm a lawyer from Warner Robins representing Ms. Davis in this matter. Let me ask you a few questions. Get some of this out of the way. At the time that you were, November of 2020, you were the director of all of those that were in charge of performing autopsies in the state of Georgia, is that right?
For the GBI, I was not in charge of it. So Fulton, Cobb, DeKalb, and Gwinnett have their own medical examiner offices.
Okay.
So I was not in charge of that.
But you were in charge of the office there on Panthersville Road in Decatur, and also the one in Pooler and the one in Macon, is that right?
Yes, sir.
How many pathologists or forensic pathologists did you have under your employ?
So it varied over time, but somewhere, if I remember correctly, between like 11 and 15.
And is it your recollection that this autopsy was performed soon after the child died there in the Macon office by Dr. Brown, is that correct?
That's correct.
I mean, you weren't there for the autopsy itself.
I was not.
And I take it at some point in time you became involved in this case because would it be a fair statement to say originally that it was undetermined as to the manner of death?
I don't think it was ever undetermined, and I think we may be saying the same thing, but I use a little different terminology. If we were to say undetermined, that would be on a death certificate. To me, it was still in the investigative process, so we had not come to a final conclusion yet.
All right. And of course, you had talked about where sometimes if there were a problem autopsy or a problem with determining the death of someone, that you would meet with you would have a meeting of some sort.
Well, every case we get initial investigative information. If there are questions, law enforcement may reach out to us or we may reach out to them. So yes, there are times where we would either meet with the coroner, sheriff, district attorney, law enforcement.
All right. And in this particular case, once again, there was a meeting of some sort between your office and the district attorney's office for Houston County and the sheriff's department. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was several months after the death of the child.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall when that meeting was? Was it September?
I honestly have no idea.
But nonetheless, you conducted a Zoom meeting, and the audio tape of that meeting was provided to defense counsel. Are you aware of that?
I assumed it was because it was provided to me, so,
All right.
yeah.
And it was about a 30-minute meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And, during this meeting, with you being the director, you were in charge of the meeting. Is that a fair statement?
That's fair.
And Dr. Brown participated in this meeting, is that right?
That's correct.
As well as other forensic pathologists in your office, is that correct?
So you're probably thinking of Elizabeth
Right.
Andrews. She's not a forensic pathologist. She is, at the time, I don't think she's with the GBI anymore. At the time, she was, we have a unit called CAISC, C-A-I-S-C. It's a Child Abuse Investigative Support Center, and she was an investigator in that group. So basically, she was out, the GBI medical examiner's investigator for childhood deaths.
All right. Yeah. But anyway, she was part of this meeting, and I take it that our current district attorney, Eric Edwards, was part of that meeting. He was assistant DA at that time. Are you familiar with Mr. Edwards?
I am from that time. I didn't know he had changed
Okay.
positions.
But at some point in time, the decision was made, was it not, that the autopsy report should be completed and that it should be determined to be a blunt force trauma. Is that right?
Correct. I think the blunt force trauma was already determined. It was the manner of death that we were.
The manner of death.
Yeah, the manner of death is what we were really discussing.
Okay, and that could have been, you say that could have either been a homicide or that could even be undetermined or not.
It could.
And it's my understanding from listening to this audio of your Zoom meeting that the decision was made that Dr. Brown would sign off on the autopsy report. Is that right?
Yes, he's only performed it, so he would sign off on it.
Okay, and that as a matter of course, you yourself would do the peer review. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you signed off on that immediately as well. Is that correct?
I-
Or you did the peer review and then he signed off on the report?
No, it's the, actually, that's a good question. I don't remember the process. Usually it's signed off already, and then, no, we do the peer review first and then it's signed off.
All right. And then at that particular point in time, once the autopsy report is done, then that is that typically submitted to the coroner of the county?
So it goes into our system, and the coroner is usually gets a copy, and then anybody else can request a copy.
All right. But the coroner wouldn't sign off on an autopsy report until it's been signed off on, of course, by Dr. Brown.
Oh, I see what you're asking. The coroner does not sign off on an autopsy report. The coroner, in the state of Georgia, the coroner will sign the death certificate, but they do not sign off on the autopsy report itself.
Okay. Just a second, Charlie. And once again, as far as do you recall when you became involved in doing the additional testing on this case?
Unfortunately, since I'm not at the GBI, I don't have access to the system, so I do not recall when I actually would have done that. I know we're not supposed to give assumptions or guesses, but usually it takes a number of months anyways for an autopsy to be finalized, the report. So I'm sure it was probably at least 3 or 4 months before I even got to, involved and took more sections. But I do not recall when I did that.
What are some of the other factors that you look at before? Well, let me ask it this way: are toxicology reports necessary?
In most cases, yes, not in all.
Okay, and if the toxicology reports are completed within a month or so, that sort of should speed up the process of completing an autopsy report.
It depends on the case. So if it's a case where toxicology is really the deciding factor of is it a drug overdose or not, or were there drugs in the system or not, then it may speed it up. But I can tell you that I've worked in many offices. There are toxicology reports that come out, and the autopsy is still not signed out for a number of months.
And as far as you mentioned to us before that you anticipated that the, whatever injury sustained by the child was 24 to 72 hours prior, is that correct?
Yes, prior to the time the child was pronounced dead.
Okay, could it have been more than 72 hours?
Well, we don't have that yellow discoloration, the hemosiderin, and that becomes apparent at around 72 hours. And there's no what we call macrophages, which are those chronic inflammatory cells. So to me, I mean, maybe 73 hours, but nothing dramatic.
Could it have been, instead of 72 hours, could it have been 24 hours before then?
I don't believe so. I don't believe we have the cellular changes that would have taken it out another 24 hours.
Okay. And as far as, you say it was between 24 and 72 hours, could it have been sooner than 24 hours?
So,
In other words, could the injuries have occurred within 6 hours of the child dying?
right, no, I understand it. I don't believe so because, again, of the cellular changes. And there are actually articles within the forensic pathology, actually hospital pathology literature as well, that dates the changes or dates the injuries via the changes under the microscope. And I actually pulled out one of those articles again when I was reviewing this case back years ago at the GBI, and the cellular changes are between that 24 and 72 hours.
And that's a determination that you made and not Dr. Brown.
I know I made that. I don't know if Dr. Brown made that or not.
Just a second. That's all I have.
Just briefly, Judge, if I may. And so in this meeting, you kind of reviewed everything. You guys had a toxicology report at this point, didn't you?
Oh, everything, yes.
Okay. Did that influence at all your decision as far as the timing of the death, or I mean, was there anything in the toxicology?
I don't believe so. I haven't looked at the toxicology in a while, but the toxicology, obviously with it not being in the cause of death or even the contributing cause of death, it played no role. If it was positive, it played no role.
Now, this is a lacerated liver injury, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of pain would one experience with that?
It would be very painful, and it's because the cover, anyone who's had like a ruptured appendix or has had an appendicitis or like diverticulitis, the reason they go to the doctor is because they're uncomfortable or in pain. And the pain is because you get stretching of the outer surface of it. So the liver has the same covering on the outer surface. And so when you cut that, it's painful. And that fits with the stories that we were told that the child had been complaining of belly pain, I believe it was for a few days.
Nothing further on.
Anything else?
Nothing else. Thank you, Doctor.
You're free to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been at it a couple hours. We're going to take a short break. Don't talk about the case. Don't let anybody talk about it with you. If you need to go downstairs, let the bailiff know, and they'll take you to the snack bar, point the smokers out, and let's try to stay to about 15 minutes, okay? Thank you. Y'all may go to the problem. All right, we're going to take 15 minutes. I think the juror had some concern. He was telling the bailiff, but I couldn't hear quite what, so we'll address whatever that is when we reconvene. Okay? 15 minutes. Ms. Stark, before you start, pull that microphone that's flat in front of you so it's in front of you. You don't have to lean over, but there you go. And you can speak up for me, okay?
If you would, Ms. Stark, state your name for the record, please. Sure. And would you spell your name for the record, please?
S-H-R-A-Y-T-H-A-R-B-E.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Stark, you're going to have to speak up. You're real soft-spoken, okay? Nice and loud for me.
Thank you. You need to lean over the mic, guys, aren't you? All right, Ms. Stark, what do you do for work?
I babysit kids.
Do you do that in your home?
Yes.
Do you have your own daycare business?
No.
But you take care of kids in your home?
I do.
And back in 2020, did you take care of a little boy named Karter Ambrose?
Yes,
How long have you taken care of Karter Ambrose?
from 9 months until his death.
So let me talk to you about that. Let's start. You kept him since he was 9 months old until his death.
Yes,
Did you keep him the day of his death?
no,
Did you keep him the day before his death?
no.
Let me back up a little bit further. Did you keep him the week before his death?
I had him on Friday.
Did you notice anything was wrong with him on that Friday?
No.
When you kept him on that Friday, what was he doing that day?
Simply playing with, he had started playing with the other kids. If he had his tablet, he was on his tablet or watching TV. Pretty much, he was alone. He was mostly to himself.
You said he was a little bit of a loner. Did he have a nickname or anything?
His nickname would be, I called him Baby Karter.
Did y'all have a nickname for him named Eeyore or anything like that?
No.
You called him Baby Karter.
Yes.
Did Baby Karter, while you kept him, have any kind of breathing issues? Did you remember?
I gave him breathing treatments before.
Did you give him a breathing treatment on that Friday that you kept him?
No.
Did you keep him all day on Friday?
I did.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary with him on that Friday?
No.
Who picked him up on that Friday?
His mother,
Who's his mother?
Kianna Davis.
Is she in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point her out and tell me what she's wearing?
She's here with a white sweater on, carrying a bond, wearing glasses.
Let the record reflect that the witness have identified the defendant.
It will reflect.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you did not keep him the Monday after.
No.
Why did you not keep him that Monday?
He didn't show up.
So no one brought him to your house?
No.
What would usually happen if a child didn't show up for daycare?
Well, the first day I did call, the second day automatically I'll give her a call and text. I think I texted her and asked her. I was just checking on Baby Karter. She responded, please pray. He's unresponsive to the hospital. I asked her, do you need me to come? She said, no, his dad's here. Probably 3-4 minutes, I got a text back saying he didn't make it.
Did you keep in contact with Kianna after that?
Yes,
Did you attend Baby Karter's viewing?
I did.
If you want, please answer the relevance in this.
I established that she kept contact with Kianna after that?
Is there, let me see counsel up here.
Let me ask you again, Ms. Starr. You went to Baby Karter's viewing.
I did.
Did you see Kianna at the viewing?
I did.
Did she say anything to you that day?
Yes, when I walked in, she came and gave me a hug. I had a T-shirt made in his honor, a mask made in his honor, and a pillow made, and I presented that to the mother and the father.
What did she do when you did that?
She, like I said, she gave me a hug, and she told me and my 2 daughters and my sister and 2 of my grandkids was with me. She took us to the room, well, she probably took us, she never did go in while I was there. Where the body was.
She never went into the room where Baby Karter's body was out
No,
while you were there viewing?
no.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Judge, I don't understand the relevance of that.
Objection overruled. Go ahead.
Did she say anything else to you while at the viewing?
She said that she wants to remember him like he was.
Ms. Tharp, if I were to show you a picture of baby Karter, would you be able to identify him?
I sure will.
We have no objections to photographing them.
All right.
May I approach him?
Ma'am.
Let the record reflect, I'm showing the witness what has been marked as State's Exhibit 12. Ms. Tharp, what is this a picture of?
Baby Karter?
Is that how you remember it?
Yes.
And is this photo a fair and accurate depiction of what baby Karter looked like?
Yes.
Has been changed or altered in any way?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, the State will tender into evidence State's Exhibit 12.
Objection.
It's admitted.
So, Ms. Tharp, that's baby Karter.
That's Baby Karter?
Ms. Tharp, while you were at the viewing, did Kianna say anything about he's in heaven now?
She said that when I want to say either, it was the same day that he passed. I was crying, she was crying, and then she stopped and said, he's in heaven. So that was the same day he passed, that she said that.
Do you know if baby Karter was buried after the viewing or cremated?
He was cremated.
Did you think there was something odd about that?
If you don't, please.
Objection sustained.
Did you continue to keep in contact with Kianna after that?
I did.
Did she ever say anything to you about the detective on the case?
She said that the boyfriend was never questioned, and she also told me that she said that she asked me my address and said her attorney would get in touch with me, but I never heard anything back from her about that situation.
Did she ever tell you that the original detective was no longer on the case?
Yes.
What did she say when she told you that?
At one point, she said she was coming down here to get his autopsy report, and she's supposed to be coming by my house afterwards. And she stayed, well, I waited 2 or 3 days, and I texted back and asked her what happened to her. And she said that they was trying to railroad her, pin it on her or something to that state.
Did she ever brag to you about the original detective no longer being on the case?
Yes,
What did she say when she said that?
that he was, that he's no longer on the case, and pretty much that her aunt had gave her the money to get a lawyer because that they kept questioning about it. And I guess after you get an attorney, you don't have to talk to her.
Ms. Tharp, I've got a few more questions for you about the Friday with the cat Karter.
Okay?
I asked you earlier if he had any kind of breathing problems that day. Did he? You didn't have any breathing treatment?
No.
Did you notice that if he had fallen or anything while he was playing with the other kids?
No.
And in your experience, keeping him seemed pretty normal that day?
No.
Didn't look like he had fallen,
No.
but then come Monday, he's not a danger that day.
No.
And come Tuesday, he's not a danger that day.
No.
Nothing further at this time, Judge.
Mr. Greer.
Just a few questions, John. Thank you. Ms. Tharp, good morning. Ms. Tharp, my name is Jeff Groove. I'm a lawyer from Warner Robins.
Okay.
Here representing Ms. Davis. You say you testified that you babysit kids, is that right?
Yes.
Where at?
Then it was, we lived in a house at 402 Mirror Lane,
Okay, where do you do that now?
at 109 Granville Way.
109
Granville Way.
Granville Lake? Okay. But at the time, you kept, you said you called him Baby Carter.
I did.
You kept him from 9 months until he passed, is that right?
That's right.
And this is on Mary Lane, is that right? Okay. Let me ask you this. Would you keep him 5 days a week, or 4 days a week, or?
Usually I did. Sometimes the dad would, if he was off, he would have him. Sometimes Kianna, if he had a doctor's appointment, sometimes he got sick and she had to come pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, Baby Carter was a sickly child, was he not?
He had, sometimes he had breathing problems, but
Right.
not that often.
Right. But before you kept him, but you were made aware, were you not, that he was in the hospital within a few days of him being born?
I never know that.
Never knew that. But he would go to the doctor quite a bit for his breathing problems and other things, is that right?
For his breathing.
Right, for his breathing. Whenever you did breathing treatments on him at your house, were there any sort of machines that they left with you?
She would bring it.
Huh?
She would bring it.
Every day?
No.
All right. Now, you say you would babysit these Baby Carter at your house there on Mary Lane, is that right?
That's right.
Mary Lane's not too far from where Shirley Hills Elementary School is it?
You can walk right there.
Walk right there. How many, at that time, how many children would you keep?
Probably about 4.
4. Did you have a license through the city to do that?
At that time I did. No.
You did at that time? And how old would be the children that you would keep there?
They was 2 and 3.
2 and 3 years old?
Well, I think they probably was the youngest then.
Yeah.
He probably
Would any of the children ever spend the night?
Repeat?
Would any of the children ever spend the night with you?
No, not beside my grands.
Pardon me?
No, beside my grandkids.
Or you would have grandkids there too at the same time?
Well, I had a grandson who was named Carter too. That's how Baby Carter became Baby Carter, because I had my own
Okay.
grandson.
How old was your Carter?
He's 15 now, so he was 10.
He was 10, okay. And during the daytime, I mean, what time would Baby Carter be dropped off at your place?
Between 7:30 and 8.
7:30 and 8? And what time would you be picked up every day?
Usually around 5:30. Between 5 and 5:30.
Okay. Now, there towards the end of Baby Carter's life, are you aware with where Miss Davis was working at?
She's working in Millersville.
Okay. Was she also working in Warner Robinson?
When I got Baby Carter, I think she was working in Macon.
She was a school teacher, was she? She worked for the college, and she would go to different schools. Is that right?
Well, I don't know about going to. I just knew she was working in Macon, and then at the end she was working in Millersville.
All right. Do you know what kind of work she was doing?
I didn't.
You didn't know?
I didn't know she was the school teacher until she actually moved to Atlanta.
Okay, but when she moved to Atlanta, this was after Baby Carter died, when she moved to Atlanta, is that
That's
right?
correct.
And she was a school teacher up there.
Yes.
Judge, I'm going to object to this point. What's the relevance of this?
I think we've hit the limit of relevance, so the objection is sustained.
All right, Ms. Clark, let me ask you this. You stayed in touch. Well, let me ask you this. On the Friday, the last day that you kept Baby Carter at your place, do you know how many other children you had there that day?
4.
4.
3 with me.
Pardon me?
4 altogether.
All right. And you say you don't remember anything about any falls or him being hurt or anything like that?
No, because Baby Carter was alone. He would get a ball and he sit to himself. Probably in the last few months that I had, he started playing with other kids, but no.
Okay.
He would get whatever toy he got, and that's what he did.
If he was uncomfortable or tired or sleepy or something, would he tell you that he was?
He would actually come get in my lap.
Okay. But he was in diapers, wasn't he? Or pull-ups?
Yes,
Did you have the occasion to change him throughout the day?
daily.
Okay. During the last couple of days that you kept him, did you notice anything about, did he have any bruises on him or scars or anything like that?
No.
No scabs or anything like that?
No.
Did you ever notice as to whether or not, I'm sure that he had different bowel movements.
Yes.
Did you notice anything bloody in any of his bowel movements?
No.
Did he ever, do you know if he ever threw up anything or vomited any food?
No.
All right. Ms. Stark, when you were there taking care of baby Carter and these other children, were you the only adult there? I mean, did you have other adults there?
No. Well, not adults, but at the time that right before his passing, there was during the pandemic, so I had, like I said, my 10-year-old grandson, and Kennedy should have been by 6, but also she was just had been, she may have been 3. She just been diagnosed with,
Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about my granddaughter.
Your granddaughter?
Yes. She just got been diagnosed with diabetic.
Yeah, diabetic.
And when I talked to Kianna, maybe the next day, and I was telling her, at this time she had been sent to the emergency room, and she was in intensive care in Macon. And when I talked to Kianna, probably the next day, I'm telling her what was going on with
When was this?
Kennedy. The
When was
next
this?
day after he passed.
All right.
The next day after he passed.
Okay. During this period of time that you kept the baby, did you have a good relationship with Miss Davis?
I did.
Okay. Would you agree with me, ma'am, that people grieve in different ways?
Sure.
I mean, you grieve different from the next person that's they're saying?
We all did. So yes.
And when Baby Carter was, after he passed, they had a viewing or some sort of service for him over at Nelson Memorial.
No.
Where they have it?
Was it McCullough?
Well, you tell me where it was at.
It was definitely one Nelson. It was either McCullough or what's the other? I want to say it's McCullough.
All right. And she accepted the gifts that you made for her, is that right?
She did.
I mean, she wasn't upset with you, was she?
No.
She had any reason to be upset with you?
Not so.
Is there some reason why you were upset with her this morning, Ms. Davis?
I was upset.
Out in the hallway?
No, ma'am. No, sir. Kianna walked past, me and my daughter was sitting out there. She walked past, rolled her eyes, and looked us down and said, I slapped the shit out of you.
She said that to you?
That's exactly what she said.
She said that to you?
She said,
And you're
either
right.
she talking to me or she talking to my daughter.
And-
We both was sitting there, but that's what she whispered and said. Yes.
Oh, okay. She said that to you.
She said that she was looking at me and my daughter, so who she was talking about slapping, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But that's what she said.
All right. So was it you that made the comment about whipping somebody's ass?
No, it wasn't.
Just say it, sure. So once again, Ms. Stark, whenever Ms. Davis would drop the baby off to your house, it would be 7:30, 8 o'clock every morning, is that right?
Pretty much so.
Would it be earlier than that? I mean, like 6 o'clock.
Could have been. We're talking 5.5 years ago.
Well, I'm asking you if you remember. If you don't, that's fine.
Right. It sometimes maybe early, but yeah.
And either Ms. Davis would drop the child off, or the baby's father, Kadeem, would drop the baby.
Yes.
And one of the two of them would pick the child up every time.
That's what I always think. I never seen anyone of her family member besides her or the baby father pick him or dropping him off.
All right. Judge, I don't have anything else, Ms. Stark.
Anything else for her?
Yes, Judge. Ms. Stark, you mentioned there's a discussion that you had with Kianna about your granddaughter Kennedy.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that discussion.
I took Kennedy. Kennedy was throwing up. She had diarrhea. She couldn't walk, so I pulled my car up to the front, and her brother told her out to the car. She had to be transferred to Macon. And the next day when I talked to Kianna, I was telling her what was going on with Kennedy. Everything that I said was going on with Kennedy, she was saying the same thing that was going on with David Karter, that he was throwing up, he had diarrhea.
Did she ever have any kind of discussion with you about him falling?
No.
She never said anything about Carter was on the bed, he fell back?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
This may have been the same day that he passed, and she said he was on the bed, and he fell back, and he said, oh.
Did she say anything else?
That she think that he passed when he was in the car with the bar friend while she was on the phone.
Did she ever blame the boyfriend to you?
No.
Let me ask you a couple more questions about the Friday that you kept informed about. You would have changed him that day?
4 or 5 times.
Change him every day? That was normal?
Every day.
And you would, I assume because it's a daycare, you would feed the kids, right?
She brought his food, yes.
So, let me ask you this then. Kianna brought his food,
Yes.
and he ate that day.
Yes.
Did he seem to have any problems eating?
No.
No problems eating, bowel movements normal?
Yes.
Did he eat a lot?
He ate? Yes. He ate what she brought.
Did he seem happy that day?
Fine.
So, for all intents and purposes, a normal day for
I
him.
know that.
And because you would have changed him, he was still in diapers, right?
Simple up, yes.
Still in clothes. Did you see any bruises on him that day?
None.
Any bruises on his genitals, his scrotum, anything like that?
No.
And just to clarify, you hadn't seen him throwing up that day or anything?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Thorpe.
Nothing else, Your Honor.
You can step down. You're free to go or stay as you wish, Ms. Thorpe. Call your next witness, please.
State call Suzette Damlin.
All right.
Judge, while she's coming up, may I approach?
Yep. All right, go ahead.
Ms. Stanley, if you would, raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you shall give here before this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, shall help you God?
Will you push that microphone out in front of you a little bit? There you go.
All right, Ms. Stanley, if you would, state your name for the record, please.
Kianna Davis.
And if you don't mind, would you spell out for the court word?
First name is K as a kite, I-Z as in zebra, E-T-T-E. Last name is spelled like Daniel with a Y, so D-A-N-I-E-L-Y.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Stanley, what do you do for work?
Insurance agent.
So you're currently an insurance agent.
Mhm.
At some point back in 2020, did you sometimes help your mom at a daycare that she had?
I would be there sometimes, but I wouldn't say necessarily like help as in I work for her or anything like that. I would be there sometimes, like I'd be around the children.
Were you there on the Friday before Baby Carter passed?
No.
But you do know Baby Carter.
Mhm.
If I were to show you a picture of Baby Carter, would you be able to identify him?
Yes.
May I approach Judge?
You may.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the witness what's already been tendered into evidence that states Exhibit 12. Ms. Emily, is that a picture of Baby Carter?
Yes.
Is that how you remember him?
Yes.
know Kianna?
Yes.
How do you know her?
I think the first time I ever knew Kianna, we went to high school together. I think she's making like a grade ahead of me. We didn't really like have any interaction or anything during school, but I got to know her a bit more when my mom started, like bypassing and stuff like that. Sometimes she may have to contact you, but she's coming in on the way to come get him or something like that. But I think we probably started talking more after Carter's passing.
And your mom is Shirley Clark, right?
Yeah.
And she would be Carter sometimes?
Who, my mom?
Yes.
Yeah, she was there.
So Kianna would sometimes reach out to you to let you know if they'd be late, anything like that?
Not many times, but sometimes if I was there. Or if I had to contact her or something like that. Not many times.
Do you remember the day that Carter passed?
I do.
Were you with your mom that day?
Mm-hmm.
Did Kianna call your mom that day?
I think my mom called Kianna. Or at least text her, one or the other. I just know she's reaching out because he missed daycare. Might have been like day 2, and so she'll normally reach out to the parents, but I think she either called her or text Kianna. I know they had a phone conversation. I was right there. She was on speaker talking to her.
So you were able to hear Kianna too? What do you recall from that conversation?
I think my mom might have asked, if it's okay, maybe asked why he, had been there. I just know that Kianna said that he wasn't doing well, that they were at the hospital. That's what I recall.
Did you keep in contact with Kianna after this?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Tell me what you mean by a little bit.
I'm saying that because I don't remember the exact time frame. I feel like maybe up until March of 2021. Maybe March of 2021. So a couple of months.
So just a few months after that? Did you see Kianna in person after that day?
After the Carter passed?
Yes.
I remember December the 18th. I don't remember that day because of text messages. But my mom always does like a Christmas party for the kids. Kianna came to my house to get food, I believe, that day. And so we talked that day, and then I saw her at Baby Carter's viewing at the funeral. Those are the only 2 times.
What do you remember from the viewing?
I remember when I first came in, I naturally went up to Kianna. I gave her a hug. I remember I was crying. She was like kind of comforting me a little bit. And my mom, obviously, a lot of my friends and family, they knew him, so they were there. I remember going in to see him. I remember he had on after he was on the car. Kianna didn't go in the room, from what I remember. So that's it. I don't think I had any other like interactions with her there. I don't think.
You mentioned just a second ago that Kianna was kind of comforting you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was crying.
Was she crying? Was she crying?
I don't see the relevance in that, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
You mentioned something about a little car a minute ago. What is that?
I believe he was holding the car. He always played with cars and stuff like that. Fire trucks stuff on my house. I believe he might have been holding the car in a casket, from what I remember. I remember thinking he had a little hat on. I don't remember what he had on.
In those few months that you kind of got in contact with Kianna after Carter passed, did she ever tell you that she found out why he died?
No.
Did she ever tell you anything about an accident?
No, the day that she came to my house, the day of the children's Christmas party, I remember her asking if the dean, the child's father, if he had told my mom or told us how he passed, or what was the reason for the passing. I remember saying no. And she said that he had a lacerated liver. And that was like, I guess, me and my mom's first time hearing that. Obviously, my mom was a different conversation, but I did relate to her, like what happened, because the dean hadn't said anything. But she said that she had Googled how that could possibly happen because she didn't know how, and that Carter.
Can I please, hold on.
Let's take counsel up here.
The day before that, she asked if the father had told us about the passing or how he passed. She mentioned that he had a lacerated liver. I didn't know what the heck that meant. But she said that she had Googled to see how it happened, but she didn't know how. And that she mentioned that I believe sometimes Carter would like jump off the beds or like couches or something at home. She wondered if that's how it happened. And that was the end of that conversation.
So she mentioned after her Google search to you that he had jumped off bed or the couch or something like that?
Basically that I guess sometimes he, he plays or whatever, he's acting at home, and that maybe she was wondering if that's how it happened. And that I guess she was wondering how like, that's how I feel, that's her living.
Did she ever tell you that she saw him go off the bed or have an accident or anything like that?
I don't recall, I just remember her saying that sometimes he was acting at home and make her jump off the couch or bed, something like that.
In the time that you kept contact with her after Carter's passing, did she ever blame anyone for Carter's passing?
No.
Did she ever blame medical personnel for Carter's passing?
Repeat that?
Did she ever blame the EMTs, nurses, medical people?
No.
Did she ever say anything about he had diabetes?
No.
That's part of the time, Judge.
Mr. Brew?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Stanley, my name is Jeff Grew. I'm a lawyer from Warner Robins. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Davis. Help her with this. In November of 2020, you remember when Karter passed, is that right?
Yes.
Did you help your mother watch children there?
No.
Were you living there?
2020, no.
November of 2020?
No, I wasn't.
So where were you living at then?
441 Hagen Mill Road with a friend.
Would you be there most days at your mama's place?
No, it's my mom's house. I would go over there, occasionally to my mom. And if it just so happened to be during our operation, then, sometimes I see kids.
Would you ever watch the children that she had on occasion while your mama went out?
I remember maybe a time or two my mom, if she had like a doctor's appointment or something, I may sit there with the children. But that definitely wasn't often. I wasn't in the staying home at that time.
Okay. And the day that Karter passed, I guess the last day, do you have any recollection of the last day that your mama watched Karter was on that Friday prior?
I know this just from her saying it.
Oh.
I know that she kept him that Friday, but I wasn't, I didn't see him that day, I wasn't there.
You weren't there on that Friday?
No.
On that Thursday or the Wednesday or the Tuesday or the,
I'm pretty sure I was over here some day that week, I'm sure, but I
Okay.
didn't.
And did you ever have occasion yourself to change Karter?
No, I never changed him. I never changed him before.
You never changed him? Did you have interaction with the child? In other words, did you talk with the child?
I would play with him, I would, speak with him, if I was there, with, interactions, like talking,
Did he ever complain to you about anything?
no.
Did you ever notice as to whether or not he had any bruises or scabs or bleeding or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, how many other children were during that general period of time was your mama keeping?
With Karter, 3 to 4, I believe.
All right. And would there ever be any grown-ups there during that time?
Besides my mom, no.
Besides your mom?
My son would be there. He stayed with my mom.
Okay. And what's your son's name?
Karter,
And what's his last name?
Daniel,
Okay. And how old is he now?
15.
Okay, so he was 10 or so then.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with me that people grieve the loss of a loved one different from you, for example?
Yes.
When was the last time you had any contact with Ms. Davis?
I believe it was March of 2021, but that was the year after his passed. I believe like February or March.
Okay, and you hadn't seen her until when? Tonight?
Yeah.
No communication with her by text or Instagram or anything?
No.
Spectrum. Nothing else, Your Honor. Thank you.
You can step down. You're free to go as stay as you wish, ma'am.
Okay.
James Kennedy. James Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy, if it's easier for you to flip your walk around and sit in it instead of the chair, you may do that. Let the bailiff get the chair out of your way, and then
Oh, yeah, you can do that. That's to be good.
there you go. You can scoot up a little closer for me so the mic will get your voice, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Kennedy, can you raise your hand for me? You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Put your hand down. Can you state your name for the record?
James C. Kennedy.
Can you spell your name for the court reporter?
K-A-M-E-S. C-K-E-N-E-D-Y.
Mr. Kennedy, do you know who Kianna Davis is?
Yes, she's my granddaughter.
Okay. And you see her in the courtroom
I
today?
do.
Can you tell me what she's wearing?
She's wearing a white sweater and glasses.
For the purposes of the record, it's identified. Do you know Karter Ambrose?
Yeah, he's my grandson.
Who's your grandson?
Great-grandson.
Great-grandson?
Yeah.
And if you turn around and you can look at the screen.
That's him.
That's him? Now, I know it's been a while, but do you remember 2020, November 2020 at all?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you remember when Karter died?
Not the exact date. No.
Okay. This fall 2020 sound right?
Yeah.
You remember him being at your house at all during that time?
Yes, he was at the hospital. That Saturday before, previous Saturday before. Saturday or Sunday with one. He was at my house that weekend.
Okay, okay. You don't remember the Saturday, Sunday?
Right.
Okay. And who was he with?
Yeah.
Was it just the three of you?
It's-
Was it just the three of you at the house?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what time they got there?
Not really.
Okay. You recall how long they stayed?
Of hours.
Oh, I was thinking I cook dinner or something for you?
Didn't say.
Okay.
I think she brought lunch for him.
Okay. And what was going on? Was everybody just hanging out?
Yeah.
Hanging out? What was Karter doing?
What 2-year-old
What was that?
playing?
He's playing? What was he playing with?
Refrigerator magnets, broom and dusting, things like that.
Running around?
Just running around being a 2-year-old.
Did he seem happy?
Seemed happy to me, he was always happy.
Did he seem like he had any kind of injuries or pain?
No.
And you don't remember what time they left?
After a couple of hours.
After a couple hours. Was he complaining about anything?
No.
Did he throw up at all?
No.
Nothing further on.
Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, Ms. Kennedy, good to see you again.
Hey,
Once again, I'm Jeff Rue, representing your granddaughter, Kianna, in this matter. She live with you now?
yes.
What is your address?
309 Bonnie Drive, Warner Robins.
And you live there, besides Kianna, do you live there by yourself?
Yes, I do.
When did your wife pass?
Probably 10, 12 years ago.
309 Bonnie Drive, is that right?
Yes.
You're retired, are you not?
I am
Where are you retired from?
Air Force
How many years you served?
20.
Now, Kianna is your granddaughter, she's not.
She is.
She graduated high school.
Yes, she did.
Where from?
Warner Robins, I think. Warner Robins High School.
She go to college?
Objection, Your Honor, on relevance.
What is the relevance, Mr. Brewer?
I'll just say you as a witness in my case.
Well, even then, let me see counsel.
Mr. Kennedy, let me ask you this. At the time that Carter passed, were you familiar with who the father of the child was?
Yes,
Okay. Was his name Karter Ambrose?
I think it is.
Okay. And did you ever meet him or know him?
I think I made it twice.
Did your daughter live with him when Carter was growing up?
I don't know, because once they leave my house, I don't get into their personal business.
Okay, I understand. Do you know where at that time, on the day that Kianna came over to your house with the baby, do you know where she was living at?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you know if she was working at that time?
She was.
Where was she working at?
I think she was working for the city. No, not the city. The schools.
School?
Yeah.
School system? Do you know which school she was working for?
Technical college. That's what she was working for.
All right.
I think so.
All right. And on that Saturday, it was
Just
just
Georgia Tech.
right.
That's what she was.
And on that Saturday, she came by and y'all had lunch together. Is that right?
Well, she brought lunch for him.
Okay. And would you see Carter and your daughter? Your granddaughter? Would you see them very often?
Not about twice a month.
Okay. But in any event, you saw them on the Saturday before he passed away. Did the child ever complain to you about being mistreated?
No. Like I said, he was a happy kid. Happy child.
I mean, that picture of him right up there, that's how he looked all the time. Is that right?
That's what he looked when he was around me.
Okay, and he was rambunctious on
2 years.
yes. Just a second. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
You sit down, Mr. Kennedy.
I'm not sure.
You're
if
free
he's
to go.
excused or not.
I'm going to excuse him.
Okay.
We're not going to.
All